Have fun.
All right, hopefully the squirrel conversation didn't get on the microphones, but maybe it did.
I was just kidding. I saw that in an episode somewhere.
Good evening, it is 6:30 p.m. and we're going to call this work session of the Lewisville City Council to order. We do have a quorum. I don't think I need to remind anybody of the microphones. I think we just did that. So we'll go ahead and move on into item A of the workshop session, which is the discussion of consent and regular agenda items. So I've got Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Troyer for the invocation, Councilmember Tipton for the pledges. We've got a proclamation and a presentation. Item E1, public hearing, and this is amending the zoning ordinance to rezone 0.6158 acres.
I've got some questions on that.
Okay.
Or a big question on that. In looking through this, and Chief can attest, I was a reserve for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. And during the ride-outs with fire, this gave me heartburn looking at how tight this was and all the street parking that's going to result from that. The three, I would back this wholeheartedly if the three that were facing the back property lines that had no street facing, because that would open to additional parking, plus our fire apparatus would not have any issue whatsoever. So that's my issue on this, is mainly, and I'm just going back to writing out.
Can you repeat that? I didn't understand what you were saying.
Okay. You know how you have Cowan here and you have all these that are facing Cowan. You have an alley right here, and then right here you have another.
I can bring up
Oh.
the layout. Yeah, you want to bring that up?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we do this out there?
Well, I just have some questions here.
Okay.
These I don't have a problem with that are facing Hickory. I don't have a problem with these right here. My problem is with these right here because of fire apparatus
Which
getting in and out.
which ones do you have a problem with?
4, 5, 6.
The muse
4, 5,
ones?
6, yes.
Okay.
If we remove that and that's all parking, our fire apparatus has no problem.
Yep.
It just gave me the willies, and I don't know if you remember me talking to you about Manco and those townhomes and us having basically freaking 20-point turn just to get at the end and try to get back out.
I do think our fire marshal has Richard, I
Yes.
don't know if McNeil has seen it. Have you seen it,
Yeah.
McNeil? Do you have any comments on that?
So yes, Richard can probably talk to that. So this meets code as designed. The one thing we've said we wanted to do is, my concern with that is the same thing you had when we first saw this, is how the buildings are laid out. It does present some, less than what we would like as ideal, but it does meet code. My biggest concern was that those are private drives. They're made to park in the garage, but if it's a private drive, who's going to enforce keeping that open? And so, Richard, we talked about through this process that will be one of the requirements, is that has to be a dedicated fire lane so that we can enforce that. And if so, what do I say? It's less than what I would design as ideal. But
Yeah, because we're only looking at 20, really only 18 on the one drive. And then the turn radius to go in the
5 foot.
center is, I've got major heartburn with this.
It is
I
tight.
could support it if 4, 5, and 6, because you have more green space and you can park everybody there. And I don't even know how, you're gonna have to lay line all the way across to those to get to that fire hydrant back on by 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
It's just just cramming that in is, I'm just not willing. I look at those townhomes in Manco. I have ridden out when we've had to try to maneuver on Tower Bay, that is an issue. I'm done.
Any questions?
Just one.
I have a whole lot that I want to say, but I'm going to save it for now.
Out there? Okay. Council, any other comments? All right.
I do want to make one quick
Yeah,
comment. I did talk to the developer just before the meeting, and he was planning on being here, but he is ill tonight.
Okay.
So he asked that if there's any major reservations, he wanted to be here to address any questions or concerns. He would ask that we continue the public hearing to the next meeting since he was unable to attend tonight.
Okay. And that's, if we get to that point, I think that's fair.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. Item 2, approval of minutes. Item 3, a bid award for annual requirements contract for concrete repairs. These are larger repairs than the previous contract that we did.
So this is a, these contract amounts are maximum not to exceed, right? And so I also assume that it caught me off guard because the amount for the primary is less than the amount for the secondary, but I'm assuming that's because that was the low bid.
Right.
So, so with one being the primary and one being the secondary, does that determine who we're calling to do what, or how does that happen?
Yeah, so it's not a maximum to, not to exceed, it's a requirements contract, so that's really just the sum of the estimated quantity that we put in the bid, so we can compare them. That's not a maximum, there's not a maximum on it.
Can you
That's
explain
really-
to them what a requirements contract is then?
So a requirements contract is essentially, you have a list of units, different types of bid items with a quantity for each. And so that's what they bid, but it's really just establishing the unit price for each type of work. So it's not a maximum, it's not like a typical contract where they have to.
But it's not a lump sum either.
No, no, it's really just establishing unit prices, so.
Okay.
Because we don't know, for these types of contracts, we don't really know the quantities of each bid item that we're gonna have.
Right,
So we're just establishing those unit prices with these bids.
okay.
And then as far as how we would use them, the primary contractor is gonna be used as much as they have capacity, as long as they're performing satisfactorily. So as long as we're keeping up with workload, then we'll use that primary contractor. The secondary contractor is really there to pick up the overflow when the primary can't handle the speed that we want to go at.
And what budget does this draw against?
We have a go ahead, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we have a capital project for street maintenance. I don't remember the number of the project, but it's specifically for street.
That's where your cap comes in.
Right, you guys
Yes.
budget every year for your street maintenance, and so that's just, we're hanging off of that, and then we re-budget again for the next year.
So it's more than the 4.5 and 4.9.
We have about 13 million that we spread out across pavement improvements, sidewalks, alleys, that sort of thing overall each year.
Any other questions on that? Item 4, First Amendment to the agreement with Keep Lewisville Beautiful. I will be recusing myself on this one.
So we have to remove this from the consent agenda.
Yeah. And then Ronnie's in charge.
She just said the last time she did that was in 1996.
Last time I did that was for Bobby in 1996.
Well, you know, I'm
I've
willing to
grown
follow.
2 inches since
I'm
then.
willing to follow in her footsteps, it's okay. Right, and that's the last item on the agenda. We do not have any staff reports this evening, and just general reports, and we do not have any closed session items, is that correct?
We don't. But Mayor, before we go into our workshop, I did want to introduce you to our new city engineer just briefly. This is Brett Bourgeois. He is our new city engineer. He hails from the city of Denton, where he was their city engineer, so we got a very, no, you cannot say whatever you're about to say. Not at all, not at all. Brett, do you want to say anything?
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm looking forward to joining the team and working for Lewisville and working for the residents here and being part of the organization.
Wow.
We're gonna have some overlap with David, just so that there's a good soft transition there, in the next month, so.
If you have a problem with her, just call me. Just kidding, just kidding.
Ronnie, don't do that to an engineer. You'll break
Okay,
them.
I know,
Stop
they're
it.
very literal.
Any other comments or introductions before we move back into the item B? All right, next up, item B, update on the Jean Carey Animal Shelter Expansion Project. We have our Director of Neighborhood and Suspension Services, Mr. Chris McGinn, and Chris Squadra, our founder. The title gets bigger every year, Chris. What's going on here? But he's our
Project control.
project controller, all of that good stuff.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, dog and cat fans. I wanted to take an opportunity also to introduce Brittany Polk. She is our new Animal Services Manager.
Hello, thank you, welcome.
I've heard it's been a long time. It's an honor to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
It's been the amount of time we needed to get the right thing.
I appreciate that. So I'm very excited to join Lewisville. I come with almost 15 years experience. So if you ever want to poke my brain, please feel free to do so.
Oh, yes.
But it's an honor, though.
It's
It's
all
an
tomorrow.
honor to be a part of the team and to help our community. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you guys for having me tonight.
Did you also come from Denton?
I don't know. I came from Irving.
Okay.
Oh,
I came from Irving.
Ronnie, you can say
I can say it, okay.
Coming to us with an amazing amount of experience and expertise. So we are excited for her to get started. And what a perfect time to get started to jump into a project here with the Animal Services building. So I wanted to just take a little bit of time to talk to council, Mayor, about the project status, where we're at, and also the scope of work, and so that we're aligned in how we're going to move forward. This is not necessarily a final discussion on construction costs. We're just looking at estimates prior to the RFQ for the CMR. So basically just want to confirm council understands what's going to be included in the base bid, and we have some slides a little bit later on where we'll have a breakdown of the budget and what we're looking at for this project, and also a timeline moving forward. Looking at the overall project budget of $9.9 million, what is included in this base bid that Mr. Squadra will go into a little bit more is focusing on what the most important items were: the surgical suite, the pre-op, post-recovery areas. Right now we have a smaller room. We don't have any of these recovery areas, and so this will be really beneficial for us in our process and getting animals to adoption, increasing our live release rate and length of stay. Additional kennel capacity, as discussed with council in prior discussions, we're really needing that large dog kennel capacity, so for dogs over 20 pounds. And so in addition to that, also expansion of some of the office areas. All of that's included in our base, our current base bid. Some other items that we have listed, and I provided you all some close-ups to be able to see those better, of what those alternates are and what some of those things are in the base bid that you have in front of you. But the alternates, we have expanded laundry facilities and relocation of the cat isolation and cat quarantine area, which is actually right here in the front of the building. Expansion of the laundry areas towards the back there. There's also additional staff workstations, which was a thought of moving forward, but we believe that there will be some other opportunities to look for some workstations in the shelter further down the road, as they're not currently needed. And then I mentioned the relocation of the isolation and quarantine area. That also includes stray intake. So overall separation of the dog and cat intake areas is not included in the base bid. It was also discussed the volunteer space would have a dedicated area. We're currently looking at the meeting room / break room to also provide volunteer space. So there's some things that we've done in our current overall scope to kind of accommodate a volunteer space as that program begins to increase. We're hoping to get additional volunteers in the future. And then also dry food and general storage space. We looked at our current space areas, and we do believe that there's opportunities for additional dry storage within the facility. Also possibly the Sallyport area where we can look at additional dry storage space and be able to hit the mark. Also here, and then reorganizing the dry food storage existing, we found that we have additional space there. And then also in the base part of this bid is the $200,000 allocated for the public art. I'm going to let Mr. Squadra talk a little bit about the base bid, scope of work, and some of the alternates.
Yes, thank you. So the promise to the taxpayers was the surgery upgrades and the new kennels, and that price was $3.4 million out of the 9.9. And when we added in the other alternates, which you can see here, and I'll click into another slide, it put us over the budget if we're using escalation through the point at which we'll take this out to the street. So we spent from May to November right-sizing the budget for the scope to match the budget and put everything else as an alternate. The tough thing for us right now is we're carrying 1.1% per month for escalation. That is being driven by, I'm sure you've all heard about all the data centers that are starting up now. Price of copper, I think we have a 1.6 trillion dollar backlog of data centers coming online this year that are all going to be bidding about the time that we are, and we also have the highest prices ever paid for copper right now. So it's a very scary time to project what costs are going to be later this year when it goes out to the subcontractors. So those reserves, we're using scope as the contingency. So if we are wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, then we have alternates that we can spend that money on, and when the bids come in, we're very hopeful that we're going to get more scope than we have now. But the base that we've promised, we're sure that we can get done. And then these add alternates are this area here and some recovery areas that are going to be, this laundry is the #1 priority, so it's at alternate #1, and it's and the base bid is underneath that, and then this the relocation of the cat isolation and quarantine areas are also alternates #2. So if you want to see the overall, your base is this Stray expansion, and the surgery areas are in the base bid. This is what we've promised the taxpayers. And this is also, this mechanical upgrade is part of the, whoops, that's a touch screen. So we should know that by now. And this is at alternate number 2, which is the cat recovery area. So in the base bid, we also have this office renovation to allow for the new staff. So that's the overview of the alternates. Do we have any questions about base bid versus alternates?
New staff meaning for full build out, not like we're adding staff this year and next year or something like that.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the schedule. Next thing we'll see is an advertisement for the CMAR RFQ. And this is the CMAR coming on board and shortlisted in February. And then their RFPs are due on the 5th. Interviews will be held, and we'll be coming back to council to bring their pre-construction contract to you on April 12th. So that process will bring a CMAR on board, which will bring a whole nother estimating department to bear. And we may find in that 6-month period of time, or that 4-month period of time, 6 months since we did the estimate, that we're not seeing 1.1% per month. Maybe we're seeing 0.9% per month. Maybe the CMAR and our firm receive a bunch of input this spring that calms our fears, and we can expand the base scope to include more, and we'll work with the designer. Right now we're at 100% schematic design, or roughly 25% done with the design. These dates may change a week or two here and there, but that's general. We're going to be targeting the April 12th and 13th to come back to you, present the CMAR, pre-construction services start, and then we're going out to the subcontracting community in July. When we bid it out, the drawings will have a base bid and an alternate 1 and an alternate 2 price for every subcontractor. They'll put those monies in there, and when we write the contract for them, we will carry those alternates in the contract with the subcontractors, so that after, and they'll have expiration dates, so even after the subcontractors are brought on board, and if we're not able to award the alternates, after we start what is obviously a messy renovation, and we get past that risk, we'll be able to still then add some of the expansions on to the outside of the building. And in the very worst case that we have to use our reserves, then we will find ourselves with construction documents for this addition. Oops, I should know better than to get even within 3 feet of that screen, especially rubbing my feet on the carpet, right? So you'll end up with construction documents that are ready to put that addition on later, if that's the wisdom of the council. So it's a very safe process that delivers what we promised to the voters. And the budget, I think you may have seen this before, but this is the base. These are the optional alternates. This is the CMAR's contract amount. And this is our contract, the architect's contract, public art, and the remaining budget is $2.75 million for pre-construction contingency, construction contingency, and escalation. So with that, I'll pause again and see if there are any other questions.
Does the public art allocation come from the bond? Okay.
Yep.
Are there alternate sources of revenue we could use for that if we had to?
I mean, we could, I don't, but.
So we have
but
some
problem-
funding that's can only be spent on public art?
Yes, so that was one of the things we listed was public art. So we have $1 million over the length of the bond for the 10 years for various projects. This was one of the projects that we earmarked for public art with that bond program.
There are those that think cat surgery is a work of art. So,
We can't use it for that.
Might.
If ever does.
Yeah,
Sculptures
good job.
in there?
Yeah.
right?
I'm pretty sure our bond counsel would say no.
I'll turn it back to my colleague.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinn.
And so the final slide here is just kind of talking about how do we move forward, like once construction begins, how do we maintain operations that the residents will continue to expect from animal services. And, you know, basically, long story short, in my discussions with Quorum, they do these types of projects all the time with shelter additions, remodels. They seem very confident that we should be able to continue to maintain operation. Yes, I know that there are going to be unforeseen situations, and you know, I think continuing to work with rescue groups and looking at phasing some of the construction. Quorum seemed very confident in our discussion that that we should be able to continue to maintain operation. And basically, we hope to be back to speak with council in mid-April,
Yep.
give or take maybe a week or two.
I just had a quick comment because, you know, since I've lived through construction for a very long time at home, I know that it is stressful for animals and people. But I know we've talked about a foster program. I don't know if we need to, I don't know how operational our foster program is, but some of the dogs and cats may not handle it, even if they physically have the space. That's not impacted, just the noise of the construction may be really too much for some of them. So if we had options of some foster families or whatever that we could kind of allow some of those pets to go to during construction, that would be awesome.
Agreed. It's going to be a multi-pronged approach, pushing the foster program, working with rescues. I'm really glad that Brittany's here because she has a lot of experience in those particular areas, and already saw her working some magic today, getting animals out to rescues so that they're not in the shelter to begin with. So it is going to be difficult, especially when we're looking at the recovery area and some of the large dog kennels along there. You know, what does that mean for noise with staff on the phone, that sort of thing. There are a couple of ideas that we've discussed to try to work around some of those situations, but ultimately my reassurance comes from Quorum that it can be done, and they've done it before in the past.
Does white noise work on animals?
It's a lot
It does?
It's
Okay.
a lot of white noise.
Wow. We could just
Couple
Even
questions.
like
Proper
orchestra.
Quick questions. Do we have a geotech report for this project?
I believe we've done
Yes.
geotech on
So we know what
that.
the depth of the piers and all that would be?
Well, we're not quite that far. The structural engineer hasn't identified exactly what the foundations will be, but that's what some of the pre-construction contingency is for. We're comfortable that we can absorb whatever changes to our foundation assumptions are.
Hopefully it'll be better than we assume. That's what we're hoping.
Yes.
And I mean, as far as these alternates, I mean, I guess, if we get 10 years down the road, how important are those alternates gonna be 10 years down the road versus doing them now?
I think things are all important. I don't think we would have had them as adults. The good news is like, we hire PPV for two reasons. One is they save us money in the end. When they're looking at the estimators, they're looking at what people are bidding, they're actually finding savings in there, so finding where there's a little bit of added cost they're putting in there, so we get those savings from the project. But two is to make sure we're being conservative, so we don't have to come back and just say, can we have some more money? I think this is a conservative approach. I feel optimistic. Chris is always the pessimist, but you know, we usually end up somewhere in the middle. And at the end of the day, like Chris said, if it doesn't fit within base budget, we will have the design ready so that in the future we can put more money aside for it and build it out there.
So it'll just be way more expensive.
You're right.
Yeah.
The goal is
A
to
lot
have
more
it now.
expensive.
That's the thing.
The goal is to have it now, and we will bring it back to you at the point where we know there's adults and have another touch point with you guys. Okay.
We can.
We are out of time, folks, so we're going to close this workshop and we're going to head into regular session. All right, good evening. Welcome to the Lewisville City Council. We have a quorum. It is 7:05 p.m. First up on tonight's agenda is the invocation by Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Bob Troyer.
Please stand as you are able and join me in a moment of contemplation and reflection. Amen.
Councilmember Tipton.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, I've got a recognition, and I think I need Mr. Roderick Mayberry up here. How are you, sir?
Doing well, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I have the esteemed pleasure to present this Certificate of Achievement to Mr. Roderick Mayberry Jr. in recognition of his achievement as a recipient of the Texas Amateur Athletic Federation 2025 Susan Jared Young Professional of the Year Award for January 2026. Roderick, congratulations. Can you tell us a little bit about this award?
Yes, sir. So I got this award because I volunteered some of my time to throw 5 state tournaments for youth and adult flag football. And I've also dedicated some of my time to work 4 track meets over the summer for the state games. And I also worked the winter games for swimming. So they gave me the award for me volunteering some time and staying away from my family for a little bit. They probably loved it a little bit more than I did, but hey, I definitely worked hard, and it's nice being recognized for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Roderick. Appreciate your investment in the community. Bringing them up right over there in the Parks Department. Appreciate you guys. All right, next up we do have a presentation, and I've got our Arts Center manager, Denise Helbing, here to announce, where'd you go, Denise? There you are.
Thank you. All right. Mayor, Council, City Manager, I am excited to reveal the 2026 Color Palooza logo design and introduce you to the artist who made it here tonight.
I'm joined by Mr. Perez, the guidance counselor for LHS Kilo, who is going to assist me tonight with some Spanish translation. Since Colorpalooza started in 2016, it makes the 2026 event the 10th annual Colorpalooza. We had a strong participation in this year's contest, befitting an anniversary year with 35 entries. If that's not a record, it's one of the top years.
Señor alcalde, consejo de la ciudad, gerente de la ciudad, estoy muy contenta de poder presentar el diseño del logo de Colorpalooza y presentar al artista que creó el diseño esta noche. Estoy aquí con el consejero de la estudiante. En 2016 empezamos con este evento de Colorpalooza y este año celebramos el 10º aniversario. Hemos tenido una gran participación este año y hemos tenido más de 35 participantes. Si esto no es un récord, es uno de los años con mayor número de participantes.
This year's winning logo was designed by LHS Kilo sophomore Grady Marisol Flores Mejia. She wanted to participate in the contest to show what Lewisville meant to her. It is colorful, friendly, and full of life, and she wanted to create a logo that represents a fun event that celebrates artists and creativity.
La ganadora del logo de este año es la estudiante Grady Marisol Flores Mejía, que es una estudiante del grado 10 de Lewisville High School Kilo. Ella quiso participar en este concurso para mostrar lo que Lewisville significa para ella, el colorido, la amistad y la alegría de vivir, y quería crear un logo que representa un evento divertido para celebrar los artistas y su creatividad.
All right. And now you can see her beautiful logo on the screens and over here on our sign. She used playful letters and paint splashes to show energy and fun. And the paintbrush stands for art, imagination, and while she curved the shapes of the logo to make it feel alive and welcoming. She wanted her design to show how Colorpalooza brings people together to celebrate art and self-expression. The logo is bright, bold, and joyful, just like how she thinks the event is. Oh, and she heard about the contest from her art teacher, Ms. Berman, who is here tonight.
Vamos a descubrir ahora el logo. Grady ha usado letras divertidas y brochazos de color para mostrar la energía y mostrar el arte y la imaginación de las personas. Mientras que las formas curvadas del logo hacen que parezca vivo y que nos invite a todos a participar. La artista quería mostrar cómo Colorpalooza invita a todas las personas a juntarse y a celebrar el arte y la expresión. Este logo es brillante, atrevido y divertido, justo como ella ve este evento. Grady se enteró de este concurso gracias a su maestra de arte, la señora Berman, que está con nosotros esta noche.
The award for the logo contest is a $1,500 scholarship, which is administered by the Greater Lewisville Arts Alliance. Tonight we have a couple of t-shirts for her and her family to be able to wear before the event, and we'll make sure to get her the full inventory of all items created using the logo. So congrats, Grady. We're so happy to have your logo be part of Colorpalooza.
El premio del concurso del logo es una beca de $1,500 que es administrado por el Greater Lewisville Arts Alliance. Esta noche tenemos unos t-shirts para ella y para su familia para que los lleven antes del festival y les haremos llegar el inventario completo de las mercancías creadas con el logo. Enhorabuena, Grady.
I want to say so much thank you, everybody.
Great logo. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing it all over the place. All right. Did I leave my notes up front? I think I did. I do that every time. All right, here we go. Item E, public hearing. Public hearing number 1, consideration of an ordinance of the Lewisville City Council amending the zoning ordinance by rezoning approximately .6158 acres of land legally described as lots 5 and 6 and a portion of lots 11 and 12, block 3, OB Dick subdivision, located at the southwest corner of South Cowan Avenue and Hickory Street from Old Town Mixed Use 2, District Zoning to Plan Development Old Town Mixed Use 2, District Zoning, correcting the official zoning map, preserving all other portions of the zoning ordinance, determining that the zoning amendment herein made promotes the health, safety, and general welfare of the city, providing for a savings clause, repeal or severability, and a penalty, and an effective date as requested by Stephen Homeyer, Homeyer Engineering Incorporated, on behalf of 421 South Cohen Street, LLC, the property owner, case number 24-12-3-PZ. The owner purchased the property located at 421 South Cowan Avenue and the property to the west in 2023. The applicant is proposing to develop the two properties as a 13-unit townhome community. A letter of design approval from the Old Town Development Review Committee was granted in November 2024 with the exterior elevations and site layout. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this request by a vote of 4-1 on December 2nd, 2025. It's recommended that the City Council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above, and we do have Richard Lukey, our Planning Director, available for questions. The public hearing on this is now open. I do not have any public comment cards on this, but I know we do have some council questions.
Yes, I have quite a few. I don't know if maybe somebody else wants to go. I do have just a quick one, and then I'll let somebody else go because I have a list of things. I saw somewhere in the write-up that was discussing about 2 letters of opposition that were received. I didn't see that in our backup. I saw something about the nature of the opposition, about being with the density and lowering of property values. And I may have read this in the P&Z minutes. I can't remember exactly where I saw it. But I was curious who the letters of opposition were coming from. Are they coming from adjacent property owners?
I recall there being some phone calls or maybe even some of the area residents coming in to visit who didn't really understand the project, and once staff was able to kind of answer their questions and explain the various characteristics of the site and how it was going to be laid out, I think most of them walked away okay.
The memo
says
that there were 2 letters of opposition.
Let me...
Am I the only one that read that, right?
You read it. I saw it.
Open that. I can go back and pull those out of our file. I do apologize; those should have been included with the packet.
Okay. I mean, it's not make or break. I was just curious. It's really not going to change my decision either way, but I was just curious if those letters were coming from the adjacent landowners.
Yeah, I believe, according to the minutes, there was concern about the density and the property values.
Does somebody else want to go, or do y'all want me to just go down the list?
Keep going.
You want me to keep going? Patrick? Okay. All right, bear with me here. Okay, so I just want to start out by saying that I understand that this property is complicated. There's a lot going on. This is not the first layout for this site we have seen. I understand that. I'm also very sensitive to the fact that we're working in an area that's already, it is part of Old Town, and it is extremely important that we get this right so that we are not creating future problems. So there is I believe it's in the ordinance, there is a list of requested deviations. And one, I just wanted to clarify, the maximum height, here it says that it's not requesting a deviation, but on the site plan, it says that it says proposed building height is a little over 46 feet, which is a deviation, even though this table is not saying that it's a deviation. So there's that, but when I start digging into the layout, there's actually a lot more deviations to this design than what is in this table. And those are concerning to me. You know, in the workshop, Councilwoman Cade brought up the fire coverage issue. That's an extreme concern of mine. I'm also really concerned about the maneuverability through this property, because we are in a situation where we have, you know, alleys, essentially. One in particular alley going between lots, you know, for what is called in here the Muse lots.
Yes.
That's not a Muse that it's on. And our UDC specifies that we have to have lots Mayfront open space only if accessed from a rear Muse. A rear Muse in the UDC is defined as 24 feet of pavement and a 30-foot right-of-way. This is 24 feet of pavement that includes an 18-foot alley section, and then the rest of it is sort of driveway. That is not a Muse. So lots 4, 5, 6 really are not addressed off anything. You can't be addressed off an alley. So, you know, one, what do those even address? But that's a big deviation from our UDC, which specifies that it's got to have a Muse or a public street, and it's got neither for these 3 lots. Huge concern for me. Second, when I look at engineering standards, when you got an intersection of an alley and an alley, it shows that it's required to have, what, a 20 to 30 foot radii. And I realize that's mostly for garbage trucks and for fire trucks, which are not going to be able to access any of this, you know, the interior of this site with the way it's laid out. But even a vehicle, if it's just coming in here and trying to make that turn and turn into one of these garages, that is a super tight turn. I don't see how you make it in one movement. And honestly, we've got lots that are 20 feet wide, and saying that it's a 2-car garage, you know, you got 20-foot wide lot, which means you're gonna have wall thickness on each side. So really you got 19 feet. That is squeezing it tight to park 2 cars in that garage. And that's really very similar to what we have over at South Village. And I can tell you, people are parking 1 car in those garages, and they're parking on the street, which is why there's so many cars parked on the street over there. There's no room for that here. Where are they gonna park? They can't park on Hickory. It's too narrow. So, and Cowan, I mean, there's only so much on Cowan that they could park as well. So I feel like we're gonna create a absolute nightmare when it comes to parking there, you know, especially if we're making it that difficult for people to get into their garage. It's discouraging for them to even use it. The alley approach is also not designed per our UDC engineering standards. And then there's utilities. So we've got the utilities. I don't even know if honestly, I couldn't even get into the point under UDC where whether or not we're allowed to have public utilities under or within an alley right away. But I mean, my street has been under construction for the last year, and I can tell you, when they're digging up utilities to put in new ones, because these have to be replaced, they don't last forever, it is very up close and personal, and that is with a, 25-foot setback to my house from the street. I don't see how they're gonna get in there and replace these utilities, ever. There's between lots 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, there's 24 feet. That's it. That's not enough room. It's gonna completely block off access to lots 4, 5, and 6, period. They're not even gonna be able to get into their house. They can't get there, you know, with a car at all. I realize that we're talking about 40 or 50 years down the road, but that is my point, is that if this gets built, this is what is here. So we need to make sure we get it right, and we're not creating a disaster that has to be dealt with by our fire department, our police department, our public works department. I think it's just a bad idea. I understand the economics of it, but I can't accept this cramming in of these lots in a way that I don't feel is safe, just because it seems like the developer paid too much money for the land, and needs these extra units to make the numbers work. If we're completely honest, these are going to end up being rental units, the way that they're designed, because I wouldn't buy this and want to live here. It's too, when I say this, I'm talking about lots 4, 5, and 6, these interior lots. You take that out, I think the rest of the project is great. But I also want to point out that when we're talking on the south side of the property, where we're preserving all these trees, these utilities that are shown here are going to take every single one of those out. So, I mean, they're just way too close. There's no way you're going to put those utilities in and keep those trees. So we need to be realistic about that and understand that that's not what's actually going to happen here. Even if they try to save the trees, they're going to die. I think I'm going to stop there because I think that was a whole lot. So I'm just going to stop there and let somebody else chime in.
Just a quick point. I missed entirely, but the reference to 2 letters of opposition is in the P and Z minutes. It's in the right after point number 2 on the item D. So thank you for finding that. I missed that entirely.
Other comments?
What is the demographics for this area? Do we know?
As far as the existing neighborhood or
yes. Existing neighborhood.
Projected home buyers?
Existing neighborhood.
To the east are single-family detached, mostly smaller cottages built in the 1940s, 30s and 40s on 7,500 square foot lots. There are some, a couple blocks away, there has been the development of some townhomes on Edna Street in close proximity that sold fairly quickly.
Do we know the age group? What the age group is?
I do not know the age group.
Do we know what the price point they're proposing on this is?
That would be a question for the developer. He was unable to be here tonight due to illness. He asked the council to, he asked if there were a lot of questions. He requested that the public hearing be continued to our next meeting so he could attend and address some of the concerns.
We need to count this off.
For me personally, that's not necessary. There's not anything that he's going to be able to say that's going to change my mind about lot 4, 5, and 6. But that's just me personally.
The other townhomes that are in close proximity to the west of this, none of those were interior.
Right, no Muse lots. They are
No Muse lots at all.
They front Edna Street.
The whole problem, I think, with this are those so-called Muse lots, or those 3. Otherwise, my opinion is it's a great project minus those 3. It's just, in my opinion, it's not doable with those 3. I'm not willing to sacrifice, knowing some of the issues that we have with existing properties and some of them that were done 50 years ago. It's literally a nightmare. We don't live in a 1.5 car family anymore. If they have children, you're going to add additional cars onto that. It's just, plus I already made I'm not going to continue what I said back there. It's all on tape about as far as fire apparatus. If something major goes on, I just have a real concern about that. I think that at the beginning of these projects, we have a chance to do it right. And And we need to do that. We don't need to repeat some mistakes that have been done in the past, like in the past. And I got a feeling trying to make this as tight as it is, those three, like I said, have given me major heartburn, and I'm not budging from that.
So I would like to, I'm going to propose that we continue. I realize that some minds are made up here already, but this gentleman got sick. I do think it's fair to let him come in. There's not a pressing need to get this closed out today. But that's the motion I'd wind up making when it comes to that point in time.
Any other comments for public hearing?
Can we also get the height clarified too, if that's going to be a deviation?
Yes, we can clarify that height. I believe that was probably a mistake on the illustration. The actual text is the PD and the standards that have to be followed. So 45 feet would be the limit.
Okay.
Okay, well, they need to, I mean, the exhibit is also part of that ordinance. So those are both, it's, you just got a conflict.
Right, but
both in the
usually in a
ordinance.
PD, the text supersedes the illustrations. But we'll make sure that that is corrected.
Okay.
But Mayor, but with that, I just want to, I would like to have the opportunity to respond, for Richard and the team to respond to some of the comments, whether it changes minds or not. To me, I just want to make clear for the record that our team takes safety very seriously. So I know that's not your intent in saying that, that staff isn't looking at that. We are looking at that. But I do want to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's and be able to respond to that.
Staff, any other comments? Council? I'll entertain a motion.
I'm moved to continue this to next council meeting.
Next council meeting? What is the date on that? That's the
No, we're continuing.
19th?
No.
January 26th.
26th.
Oh, that's right, because we have Martin Luther King Day. So move to continue to January 26th?
Yes.
Okay. I have a second. Council, if you would please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. We will move on to visitors forum. Speakers must address their comments to the mayor rather than to individual council members or staff. Speakers should speak clearly and state their name and address prior to beginning their remarks. Do we have any speaker cards or anything for this evening? All right, so we will move on past visitors forum onto the consent agenda. I would request that item 4 be pulled. I need to recuse myself on that one. So with that, I'll need a motion to approve consent without item 4.
Move to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item 4.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you'd please vote. Consent agenda with the exclusion of item 4 has been passed 6-0, and I will recuse myself for a moment. Do it, Ronnie.
I don't know.
I believe in you.
I believe in you. I so lack confidence. Okay, Council, I'm calling item number 4, approval of the First Amendment to the agreement with Keep Lewisville Beautiful and approval of the Second Amendment to the office, sorry about that, to the office space lease agreement between the City of Lewisville and Keep Lewisville Beautiful, and authorization for the city manager and her designee to execute the amendments. In 2022, an agreement was executed between Parks and Rec Department and Keep Lewisville Beautiful for the provision of mutual support and services in return for services regarding beautification, enhancement of public spaces, special events, and volunteer support, sustainability, education, and awareness campaigns, and sharing of metrics. For grant and informational purpose, Keep Lewisville Beautiful received a rental reduction for offices at the Visitor Information Center. As the VIC is scheduled to be decommissioned, Keep Lewisville Beautiful will need to relocate to Thrive. The amendment to the lease addresses this change of location. In addition, Parks and Recs Department is working with Keep Lewisville Beautiful on a $10,000 pilot program for litter abatement along Prairie Creek. The amendment to the agreement addresses the pilot program as well. Funding for the pilot program is available through the Parks and Recs budget. Recommendation is that the City Council approve the amendments to the agreement and authorize the city manager or her designee to execute the amendments as set forth in the caption. Is there any questions, discussions? Do I
I have a motion.
Okay, do you have a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda item number 4.
Second? Second. All in favor? Will you vote? Okay. Motion passes. Is that it?
That's it.
Golly. I should have, oh my gosh. Why didn't I? Why did I not?
Had your chance.
I had my chance,
your
I lost
chance.
it. It'll be another 30 years.
All right. Item I, reports. Reports about items of community interest regarding which no action will be taken. I do not have any reports from staff. Councilmember Kelly, would you mind ringing in the new year?
Sure. No specific reports. I just want to remind everybody, we're starting a new year. It's a great year to go live in your city and not just exist in the city. So let's get out there and do some stuff.
Councilmember Green?
I was just going to say the same, Happy New Year, and I was also going to just remind people about the water app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, please, it's a really great app, because I've seen some people on social media commenting about their water bills and, you know, talking about, well, you know, this can't be right, my usage. Download the app. It's super easy to connect it to your account, and you can monitor it. You can see on an hourly basis what your usage is. It's totally worth it.
Councilmember Tipton?
I'd like to again say Happy New Year to everyone, and look forward to working with everyone in 26.
Councilmember Cade?
Yes, welcome to 2026. I will have to say, I'm going to get a little somber here. We're missing a piece of our family today. And God bless his soul. And I'd like to say to have the community keep James Kunke's family and his City of Lewisville family in your prayers.
Thank you.
I just wish everybody a Happy New Year, and no report.
Councilmember Troyer?
I too want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and I do have a report on the Lewisville Grand Theater. So some events happening. First of all, performances. Black Box Songwriter Series, the Traveling Red River Songwriters, presented by the City of Lewisville. That will be on January 16th. The Texas Tunes Series, Tejas Brothers, presented by the City of Lewisville on January 31st. And as always, the acoustic jam sessions on Friday nights from 6 to 9, presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville. Come and listen to local residents play and jam together, and you can join in. Activities, Art Talk, Amber Goodwin, Acrylic Flow Abstraction with Intention, presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville on January 13th. And then Conversations with the Artists, What Were They Thinking? Presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville on January 18th. And finally, an exhibition going on, Absolutely Abstract, presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville. That will run from January 10th through February 7th. And that is my report.
Thank you, sir. I do want to add just a little bit and in recognition of Mr. Kunke. There will be a celebration of life and faith for James to be held Saturday, January 10th at 2 p.m. at First United Methodist Church of Capel. The attire is casual. Feel free to wear a Hawaiian shirt or his favorite color, which was purple. If you are interested in donating, you can find out more on Mulkey Mason's website. Just find his obituary there and you can get some more information. But our hearts go out to the family, both here at City Hall and, of course, to Lori and Macy of the family. And if there's any other needs for those folks, or if you feel you need to leave your respects, you'll have that opportunity here on Saturday. But he was a great man, an amazing passion for this city, knew more about LHS football than any of the old-timers, and he will be sorely missed. With that, there is no further action to be taken on tonight's agenda. We stand adjourned. 7:39.